Jermaine, going to ask about Arsenal. How impressed were you with the fact that they were missing key players in this game? I mean, with all due respect, if they weren't injured or others weren't injured, you probably wouldn't see Zinchenko starting this game or Kiwior.
Yeah, and you gotta say that's very brave of Arteta playing this field team against Man United. Look, we know Man United are in a rebuilding phase, but they're still Man United. They still on their day can probably beat anyone. So it was very brave, going of the situation of the league being such, far away from Liverpool, 9 points. Yes, I know Liverpool dropped points, but it's 7 points now. But it was a big decision. And it shows that how strong they are as a squad and what depth they've got for, not fielding, I would say, their strongest team and still be able to come away with all the 3 points. It just goes to show that they are 100% still in this hunt for the title.
Fraser? Your thoughts about that? Because, I mean, I know Manchester United had their own injury concerns or suspensions, but Arsenal, I mean, there were some eyebrows raised when we saw their starting 11.
Yeah, but it's part of the season, isn't it? I don't think you're ever going to see a team that's, goes through a whole season without missing any players in for any games. So it's how do you deal with that? He's had time to build his squad. He's got cover in the adequate places. Sometimes he might make decisions to play players that shock people, but his job is to keep the team, keep them fresh, keep the momentum going, keep challenging for titles. And if he makes a few subs and it works, then it's great. It's worked today. The missing key players, but hopefully they'll be back soon and they can continue the form and try and get win the Premier League, because at the end that's their end goal inevitably. They've been close last couple of seasons. How many times can you keep coming close without actually winning something?
Yeah. Where do you stand on this? Jermaine, we're actually going to take a look at some of the other matches, the highlights in just a moment, but Arsenal, with the return of Odegaard after the international break in particular, they've turned the corner and they just seem relentless, back to their impervious best.
Yeah, I think, you look at teams nowadays, there's always one key player who makes a massive difference. You've seen the rise and fall of Manchester City without Rodri, and it was kind of going that way with Odegaard not being in the team. They just lacked a little bit of that creativity, and when he's not playing, that urgency to score goals, be able to control the game. They was missing that, and there's no hiding on. Since he's came back, they've just gone on this fantastic run and scoring, so many goals, 5 goals last week, 2 goals tonight. And that's all down to the importance of having Odegaard back fit and fresh and on the pitch. He is a fantastic leader and a fantastic captain.
For Martin Odegaard, and this is a question for both of you, as all my questions are, but Martin Odegaard has now won back-to-back consecutive awards for the season, Arsenal's player of the campaign. Do you think he's Arsenal's most important player, Fraser, now that we've seen what they're like without him? And I know they won some games, but they also had a rough patch.
He's super important. It's hard to say he's most important player, because it's a team game, but he does make a big difference when he is in the team. He plays like no other. Some of his passing today, his enthusiasm to get on the ball, it's hard to recreate the same outcomes of patterns of play when he's not involved in the game. So he is vitally important to their title hopes, to Arsenal's team winning games of football, and that's all good teams have players like that everything goes through, and without them they are missed. But he's a top player, and they need to keep him fit and fresh, and to keep driving up the table.
Jermaine, most important player, Martin Odegaard?
It's a tough one, because you've got to put Saka in that conversation as well. But he was fit when Odegaard was injured, and they didn't get the results. I would say, obviously, being the captain is where we may just edge it a little bit. I think what he brings, that creativity, his IQ of the game, to be able to manage and control it, not only with his creativity, but you got to look at his pressing as well. You always see him pressing defenders, goalkeepers to give them no time. And that's just and that's a skill in itself at times. Yeah, I would say it is probably the most influential player when he's on the pitch, when he's fit and ready. You know, these top four teams now are literally one player away from, you know, throwing the season away, losing the season. If one of their, you know, main players get injured, it's very hard to continue that run. If Liverpool, you know, have a major injury, if Chelsea had Cole Palmer, you know, could you see them going on the runs that they're going on? If Odegaard got injured again, you know, would it impact Arsenal? So, you know, these key players, you do have to keep them fit, and I think Arsenal are going to probably try and put cotton wool around Odegaard.